Okay, we have a few things left to do on each of these dressers. For this one, remember, we already glued in the bottom. We've glued the back down, and the big thing is we need to glue this back portion on. And for this one, I wanted you to see inside of this. This is the one, remember we used the book and we glued down the side and the front and the other side and glued them down flat. It only really needed one stabilizer in the middle. So I wanted you to see the difference in what that looked like. Now, another thing that I did while I haven't glued the back onto this one is I went ahead, interestingly enough, this is one of the flesh toned. I've got like a whole selection of different flesh tones for these markers, and I went ahead, and because this is going to be so close, this bottom part is going to be so close, I went ahead and went in and added this. It's strange that it matches this particular faux wood grain that I got from like a Victorian Styles manual. But I wanted you to be able to see that before I glued this piece in. And you can see here, can you see this little crunched area right here? I'm not going to glue this in because I added in some little scraps of what you call it, foam, because when I was cutting this knife blade wasn't sharp enough and it caught on the bottom and ripped some of it. So when I mean, if this had been anything other than covered paper, I might have just tossed it and done another one. But since I already covered this one, I didn't want to throw it out. So I need to wait until this little part dries with the glue before I can add some paint on it. So this one right now we're going to set over here. And what we're going to do over here is we're going to be adding on this back portion. Now, remember, we already looked and made sure that it's going to work. And what I'm going to do before I add anything else, is that the right shade? Is that the right shade? No, this is the right shade. These are some of the other flesh tones that I have that match some of my wood. I'm going to pull this one out. And remember, this is folded. It's two of them. I'm just going to go over these and cover this up. Now, for this particular piece, I've been going over like twice, sometimes 3 times, just to make sure I've got absolutely everything. And you can see this is not difficult. Another reason to go around the edges here is to make sure I have this already kind of colored in those little edges. Okay. Now, in adding this one on, if you look here, there's those 2 little strips right there. I want to cover those up. That's what I aim to cover up. So I'm not going to put the glue here. I'm going to put the glue here. And because I've put together these two, remember we kind of butted them up against each other, I'm going to put this facing this direction. We won't see it. It'll be covered up. But it still adds that thickness that I wanted, and we won't be able to see any of the parts that I don't particularly like. So I'm going to come in here and add my glue. Maybe a tiny bit more. Let's see. And as always, I'm going to kind of move it around so I get it all the way to the edges where I need it to be. Make sure that everything is covered pretty well. Okay. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, now I just wiped it on my hand like I shouldn't. And now I'm going to turn it and make sure I don't see the seam here. And then I'm going to place this down. And I'm going to need to hold it for a little while. And when I say hold it, because remember how I said sometimes things will move around. Can you see how that's moving just a little bit? I need this to stay put. I'm not going to put it under anything else. See if I can get that out of there. I'm not going to set it off to the side and set something on top of it until I know that the glue has caught. So I'm just going to sit here and hold it for a little bit. The next step that we're going to be doing is, I'm not going to show you how to put the legs on because you've already seen me do that in several pieces. I have the wood here. I've colored it with the pen, and it's the exact same way as I've done it before. The only difference is I didn't put any supports. I don't put any supports in here because this goes all the way to the edge and supports it really nicely. So adding in the legs is exactly like it is previously. Now I'm kind of, okay, let's try this again. See, it's not moving. So that means I can put it underneath something. So I'm going to take this piece, put it up here, put my book on top of it. Now, this right here, I'm going to show you how we're going to be adding on the knobs. Now, what I do, remember I sew, these little dots here are where the handles are going to go. And I'm going to come through with a needle. This is a fairly large needle. And I'm going to put holes in all the little black dots. Now you can see when we look inside of here, it's just going to go right into the foam. If you want, you could use a tack, whatever little pointy thing you have. Because what we're going to be using, yeah, you can see how that bowed a little bit because I don't have this bottom piece in. What we're going to do is we're going to be using straight pins. Now, straight pins, well, are a little bit too long, so you're going to need to cut them. And this is a pair of jewelry pliers, but it also has a pair of cutters on the inside, a little pair of nippers. So I'm just going to come in and cut that, and it fits in very nicely. Now, if you want to get a little fancy, you could, if you wanted to, add on a sequin to give it more of a kind of a little escutcheoned kind of look. This is, play around with it, see which way you like it better. Does it maybe look better this way? Kind of poking out a little bit. Whichever way you want to do it, do it. I'm going to show you. I've shown you how to, you poke those in. We clip off these pieces. Let me see. I got to put these away or I'm going to dump them out. I'm going to put that there. And I'm going to show you again. It's just a little, I don't know, about that much for the pin. And I hold both sides and give it a pinch. Again, I take the little sharp bit and put it into a sharps receptacle so I know where it is, so I'm not gonna like drop it or anything. Now, I use these were inexpensive. I think it was like for 1,000 pins, it was like $3 or something. These are a plastic topped pearlescent kind of pin that has a lot of different colors. And the reason I use the plastic is it's cheaper. And number two, I know the tacky glue will stick to it. I have some others in here that are antique glass that I have in the past used. But I use them I really, am wanting to make sure a job is really good. I also have some more antique ones over here that I sometimes use. But most of these are more for I'll use these for eyes of creatures. So I want to show you how easy this is. I'm going to use white on this one. So I'm just going to take the tiniest bit of glue and put it right in there. Right there. This is like the absolute tiniest bit of glue. and then you just poke it in. Now the little bit of glue on the outside is going to hold that in place because it'll attach to the plastic. So that one you can see I put it just inside the glue, the little hole. Let's put another one. And you just pop them in place. And if I can find the hole, where'd the hole go? Come on, where'd you go? That's weird. That's never happened to me before. There it is. There. And I made these as even as possible, so you shouldn't have any problems with this. You can also, if you want, use straight pins with a bead if you have specific kinds of beads. I don't have any beads right now that would work really well with that. But, you know, use your own. I mean, you could use earrings, little post earrings if you wanted to. So this is not difficult to do. I also wanted to let you know, if you didn't want to add on this part on the back, I've included in all of the pieces of furniture just pieces of wood. So if you wanted to, you could simply cut a piece of wood to fit the back. Which, again, this is yours. I want you to do it your way. You don't have to do it my way. So with this is the completion of the first dresser. Now, the other pieces that are coming up, let me move some things around here. Let me move this. Just going to move this off to the side. Oh, that's gluing down nicely. The next pieces that we're going to be working on are these smaller pieces, and they have a different top that I want to show you. I need to go through and make sure that that piece is also added in to the piece, the PDF that I gave you. So you can see here, this is a little different in that the legs are a little shorter. And let's see, these are the two pieces that we'll kind of be doing kind of concurrently next. So you can see they're a little different. They've got a slightly different top. And as there's part of me that's like, okay, I want to make one that has a mirror on top, one that I want to put something else like a smaller set of drawers on. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. But I'll show you how to make these little pieces. Super duper easy. The rest of it goes together almost exactly like the larger dresser. Both of these. It's just a little bit smaller, and there's a few differences because there's a straight piece in the back that just ends at the top, and then this one that goes on top. So, thank you for sticking around and learning how to put together a little dresser. And I will see you in the next group of videos where we make the smaller pieces of furniture that have drawers. Thanks, patron. I'll see you in the next video.